Every time that you're feeling down, just remember there are always things to be happy about. This is especially true if you have a cute pet. In today's video, we get to see how a rabbit and a squirrel got along, but it wasn't exactly what you'd expect. The pet in question is called the rabbit, and he's a Flemish Giant rabbit. He's not your average pet because of his size. You can tell from the way that he walks that he has a very confident strut. He's a rabbit with a big personality. This guy actually weighs over 20 pounds, so when he hops around, it looks like he's dancing. It's funny because rabbits can be prey animals, but this one doesn't seem scared of anything. But in the video description, it does say that he lives with a dog, which must be very well trained, because otherwise it might eat the rabbit. This next part is pretty hilarious. You can see the rabbit laying down on the floor, and he's not alone. He's actually laying down next to a sleeping squirrel. If you didn't know, squirrels are naturally nocturnal. So they sleep during the day and are active at night. That means that this squirrel was probably asleep during all of the daytime hours that the rabbit was awake. So the rabbit could be taking advantage of the fact that the squirrel is sleeping and use him as a pillow. That's what it looks like anyway. Now, you may be wondering how a squirrel ended up inside a house, and more specifically, why is he chilling out with a giant rabbit? Well, let me explain. There's been quite a few studies done on how animals become comfortable around humans, and some of them even involve squirrels. In one study, researchers went into a forest in Illinois to try and capture some squirrels. They wanted to learn more about these animals, so they had to trap them and then take them back to the lab for testing. It's easy to think of squirrels as wild animals that would never go near humans, but after being fed regularly by the same person, they started to feel less threatened and more comfortable. After 2 months of regular feedings, they lost their fear of people and became much friendlier. In fact, one of the squirrels would jump into the scientists' hands whenever they came to feed them. Now, obviously, this is an extreme case of taming a wild animal. But it goes to show that squirrels are unafraid of humans as much as they're afraid of losing their freedom. Once they're no longer a threat, they lose their fear. With enough time and patience, you may be able to tame a wild squirrel. But how do you keep them in your home without a cage? Well, the answer is simple. You just need to make sure they have plenty of food and water. A friendly squirrel can easily live indoors. But what if you already have a rabbit? Would it be okay to introduce them to a squirrel? Well, it depends. On one hand, rabbits are prey animals, and even if you have a domesticated rabbit, they still have their natural instincts. Because of that, they may see a squirrel as a threat. Squirrels can also be territorial, aggressive, and quick, so even though he may be a pet, that doesn't mean that the rabbit won't be in danger. Even a small squirrel could potentially cause serious damage to a rabbit. However, as long as you supervise the animals while they're together, there shouldn't be any problems. And it seems like the owners of these animals did just that. That's how the rabbit and squirrel were able to become friends. Over time, the squirrel stopped fearing the rabbit and now spends time hanging out with him. It's possible that the rabbit never saw the squirrel as a threat. As we mentioned earlier, rabbits can be prey animals, but some of them have big personalities. This rabbit could have been confident enough that he didn't care about the squirrel. Either way, they seem to be good friends now. But even though the rabbit may be nice to the squirrel, there's a good chance that he wants to eat him. In the animal kingdom, there's something known as a kleptoparasitism. This is when one animal steals food that another animal has already caught. Foxes often steal food from owls, and mongooses do the same thing to monitor lizards. Sometimes they even kill the lizard just to steal its prey. And rabbits are also guilty of doing this. If the rabbit sees that the squirrel has something delicious in its mouth, it could try to steal it away. I don't think the rabbit would intentionally kill the squirrel, but he definitely wouldn't hesitate to take its food. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think the rabbit wants to eat the squirrel? Now, most of us know that rabbits eat grass and hay. They're herbivores, meaning that they only eat plants. But sometimes they can be a lot pickier than other animals. Some rabbits will refuse to eat anything except for vegetables. These picky eaters won't touch the hay, but they'll gladly munch on carrots, lettuce, bell peppers, cilantro, and other vegetables. If you feed a rabbit a balanced diet, they should be healthy and happy, but some of them just have weird eating habits. A vet named Jordan Schaefer made a TikTok video where he talks about a rabbit who refused to eat unless it was hand-fed. The rabbit wouldn't eat from a bowl, but he would obediently wait until Jordan fed him by hand. That way he could finish all of his vegetables. This rabbit clearly has a big personality. And rabbits are known for having weird quirks. For example, some of them will only drink water if it's sprayed in the air. They won't touch the water if it's in a bowl or bottle. And some rabbits even enjoy being brushed. But not all rabbits are the same. Some of them just like being brushed once in a while. Others will allow you to brush them every day. For example, there was a recent study done to see how often rabbits needed to be brushed. The results showed that 47% of rabbits enjoyed daily brushing, 33% enjoyed it weekly, and 19% preferred no brushing at all. So you may get lucky and have a rabbit that likes being brushed. But don't be surprised if yours doesn't want anything to do with it. Now let's get back to the video. I bet you didn't expect to see a rabbit become friends with a squirrel, but it happened anyway. And to be honest, it makes sense. The rabbit is big enough that he doesn't have to worry about the squirrel. And the squirrel isn't scared of the rabbit. They were able to form a unique bond. Sometimes it takes a while for animals to get used to each other. And in this video, we get to see a rabbit and a squirrel warming up to each other over time. At first, the rabbit just kind of stares at the squirrel while he's eating. And to be honest, that would probably freak me out if I was a squirrel. But as time goes on, the rabbit gets closer and closer. Eventually, he's right next to the squirrel. And this is when the rabbit realizes that the squirrel is actually a good friend. Rabbits usually don't spend too much time looking at other animals, but in this case, he simply couldn't look away. He kept staring because he was waiting for something amazing to happen, and eventually it did. The two animals were able to form a bond and become friends. Some people might think it's strange for a rabbit to be friends with a squirrel, but in reality, they have a lot in common. Both of these animals are intelligent, curious, and social. They also love to explore and have fun, so it makes sense that they would become friends. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what species you are. If you're kind and friendly, you can make friends with anyone. Just ask this rabbit and squirrel. They may not have started off as friends, but over time they formed a bond that will last forever. Before you go, I need some help. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. If you want to see more videos like this, stay tuned for more content. I'll see you next time.